Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, after last special episode of Operation Torch and Operation Case Anton, special of me just talking on and on, we're actually going to get to gameplay on this. We are not going to fire the Case Anton decision and try to take over France, because I believe we're going to be able to defeat the Allied invasions, including these leftover units here, that headquarters that need to be killed. So I would rather have Vichy as a ally here. You know, look at us. These guys are breaking up because lack of supply is interrupted because something here with supply routes. Hopefully we'll be able to fly in enough supplies. Yes. Okay, Race for Tunis. This is Revolver Hell's events. On the 8th of November, the Allies invaded French North Africa, Operation Torch. It may be that General Eisenhower, with the support of Roosevelt and Churchill, made a secret agreement with Admiral Francois Darlan, the commander of Vichy naval forces, that Darlan would be given control of French North Africa if he joined the Allied side. An alternative view is that Darlan was an opportunist and simply switched sides for self-advancement, thus becoming the titular controller of French North Africa following the Allied invasion of French North Africa. Adolf Hitler immediately triggered Case Anton, the occupation of East France, and reinforced German forces in Africa. Race for Tunis between the Axis and the Allies. So we can start the race or no need. Again, it's going to cost a lot of money. I don't like the money. Supplies, I'm fine with. Now, just like I say, I know you hear me a lot about this. Not that I'm complaining about the cost. I can agree that it should cost. We're going to move you here. I don't know if I should add a leader or not, because they won't loading them on board airplanes. Okay, these guys here. Well, these guys now have, well, barely enough supplies. Good heavy Tiger unit. Ramkes, airborne forces, and light infantry. Yeah, might as well throw these guys in. These will just have them support. But where do we want to land? Okay, they've already been chewed up, so they're going to stop ground attacking. Maybe some Allied fleets out here. I know there's some Allied units. I just want the air bases, the air units here. Yeah, so let's fly in. air again. These guys. 7th Flieger Division. Those air bases are no longer in our hands, so we can't. Well, we could parachute in from somewhere. So let's fly you down here to the base. Don't know if we'll have you get off the aircraft or not. Now, there should be these 2 units here. I'm hoping if I were to combine them, I would be able to house or carry that, or which we can, but I don't think we can. Oh, we can carry, well, I think I'd rather have the first false Omega 2. These guys, no, they can't be also carried. Okay, didn't think so. And we'll fly them down to here as well. They will help out with that. Nice, good additional Jaeger units. Now they're flying in. So this is which is nice, is once you create this, they now have Doolittle there. They now have DeBose here. Nothing there, but now at least these places they should be able to run supplies in. See, and since they still use this, I don't know that. Okay, now I've also altered a bunch of these events here as well when I originally sort of made a test playthrough here. Negotiate with Vichy on alliance. From 11th November 1942, negotiations took place between Germany and Vichy France to access chances, to assess chances, I should say, for an alliance. The settlement was that Toulon should remain a stronghold under Vichy control and defended against the Allies and Free French. In reality, Hitler's plan was to have German sailors capture French ships and turn them over to Italy. On the 11th of November, German and Italian troops encircled Toulon, and the Vichy Secretary of the Navy gave orders to prepare the scuttling of French ships in the afternoon. Now, I don't know, because this doesn't really do too much, but I think set a flag. I added the no need, because there's some other events here. Just, that's obviously Goering, that's Hitler, that's Laval. I think that's Ribbentrop, but that's just a guess from, or maybe that's Ribbentrop, I don't know. I think that's probably Count Ciano, but I'm not sure. So I decided no need, because we're not needing to change our relationship with Vichy French. This is the German occupation, similar money things for raising inflation and increasing revolt risk. Now I sort of played through this a couple of times, and the original thing didn't have this province turned over to America, so it would go British because there was a British unit here, and then these other units would be turned over to Britain. Now Britain did send down one of the times that I test played this, because I just wanted to test and see if this thing would work and what was going on. That I did send down a big stack of units. Though this, whether it's because we're fighting in there, I don't know why, because I'm pretty sure the code is correct to have this become a naval base as well. But for some reason, either this is not seen as a province that could have a naval base or something. I don't know, it doesn't work. But This one, if we can hold it, will keep them from getting naval supplies, but I presume they're getting supplies there. But I wanted America to be able to supply here, because they can't, to the best of my knowledge, can't draw supply routes through a closed Gibraltar. So these are units that don't have supply, won't have supply. So, or reinforcements. We're furiously flying. Okay, we've won the Battle of Oran. That I expected to do fairly easily because we have a fair amount of forces here. Now, yeah, especially light infantry, they're Stug. These were some of the later forces that were sent down. Can we get... Yeah, touch them to the... temporarily to the Indian. That should also be able to... So much so that they just decide to shift the air out of there. Coastal submarine classes have advanced. That is good. Now that was up there. Submarine crew burning. Okay, we could do that. Oh, I want production. No, I need a lot more reinforcements. Now let's drop that. Big transport, the new one. Oh. No. Someone sort of minimal, just give them a commander. Flieger Corps T for transport, and let's fly you down to here. Maybe steal some supplies from the Italians to help supply. Right down here. Might as well get you in the fight too. Japan enforce conquer on the Philippines. Okay, so they've taken the Philippines. Now I've still got this Marine Corps division down here, and but they don't seem to have many supplies. Well, let's see if we can sell supplies to Japan. If they're having that much trouble with supplies, maybe it's transports. Well, they look like they have a massive deficit on supplies. For trade. Because we're sort of hurting for money, so, and we have plenty of production right now, so... Okay, let's see if you want to buy a bunch of supplies. I can always shift more into supply production. We've got to be building these oil rigs to maximize our oil resources where we can. But we've got cushions right now. A gigant. I think that's how you pronounce it. You carry just about anything in there. I mean, not a, you know, well, maybe even a tiger, but probably not. I don't think you can carry a tiger. But you can, yeah, I'm pretty sure you couldn't carry a tiger or a panther. But you can carry a 38T. I've seen one of those being loaded aboard and a few other things like that. Looks like they're trying to tow something out of one of those. Okay. The high loss rate among Axis shipping had made it necessary a huge airlift of equipment across the Mediterranean to keep Rommel's Africa Corps supplied. By September 42, the ME-323s were being delivered for use in the African campaign, entered service in the Mediterranean theater November 42. The Kampfschwald ZBV 323 operated from their Italian bases. Most of the times flew in large groupings of aircraft around 100, although the Junkers Ju-52s and were escorted by Messerschmitt 110s. Due to the growing Allied air superiority, operational mode bore quickly and severe casualties. After the end of the Tunisian campaign, the wing was relocated to Russia and renamed the Transport Geschwader 5. Okay. Manpower, money, supplies. Yes, again, I'm not happy about the money, but meaning you want to see more supplies. I'm good with that. It's not that I'm complaining about the complete cost. No. Okay. It's much more just that it's money. There was recently a discussion of adding money to Hearts of Iron 4 publicly. I want to state that in case you're not watching carefully. I'm not saying stuff I shouldn't. There. Okay, there's that. Good. There. Let's fly in supplies to there. There's supply not rebase. And basically the oh, so it is there. Okay, well, I want to put a commander with it. A real commander. Let's see, there they are, all grouped together, so easy to find. Yeah, well, let's see if they got enough supplies to fly. Basically the Hoi 4 dev team is for adding some sort of money to the game, and Podcat, the guy in charge, is against it. So, of course, he's in charge. And from discussions had with him, he's already kind of agree that it's sort of problematical in some elements, and as Axe 99 pointed out when we were talking about, somebody else was another YouTuber was saying, well, some other sort of resource that used, and Axe 99 point as well, you're creating some sort of currency one way or another, whether it's a tradable resource or whatever, so just another name for money. But most all of the people who are advocating for some sort of money really think that it should be limited or set up to international exchange purposes, not paying for troops, paying your own troops, or paying oh wow. Okay, we can't go there. They're cut off, so we need to create a supply route there. I don't want to lose them, so let's see if we can airdrop to here. And not pay for your paying your own troops, or like paying your own factories for your tanks. It's just come out of Bordeaux. Yeah, Bordeaux. What's the? I know it's the. Tamanar. Whatever. Okay. Create a supply convoy. So that's sort of something that is reluctantly, shall we say, being looked at, of adding money in, but it's just as a international cost. So if you can sort of say that, oh, well, this had a, Gigant, say, bought their engines from Italy or something like that. So that would be an international cost or whatever, or some such thing like that. Where is it? Ah, I can't do it because it's Vichy. It's not German territory. No, damn. See, that's another sort of limitation here that I'm not terribly fond of. Okay, so we just have this one sort of pocket left on dealing with it. Oh, they're here somewhere. Going in. As they should be. Sussman can support from this side. Mostly just get him some experience, not that they're actually going to be doing much fighting. Okay, security, installation security advanced, good. Now, one area that I probably should be doing more of is that. We would give them money for crude oil. Yeah, okay, we'll buy crude oil from you, Vichy. Now, how are we doing down here in our areas of Africa? Okay, they've rebuilt that, so they must not be bombing too heavily. Reorganize things down here. Oh, they need to be. Oh no, they're gonna see about getting moved onward as well. Because I want resources to flow with. Because a lot of these military units, like these guys, are going to be leaving here, so I'm wanting to send in these guys to eventually to help with the occupation. These guys, let's put you back on board the ship. Leave the garrison there. We'll take the... Yeah, I think so. Let's go over to Colombo. Rebase. These guys are now... Where are they? Thought I had... They didn't get sunk or anything, did they? Oh no, they're still over here. Oh, yeah. Board boats. These African rifles, both militia and regular. Not that they're going to be great fighters for taking over India, but just sort of occupation, holding the front line, if you will. Those kind of duties. How are we doing on getting forces to the border here? we're sending down great bulk of the mountain troops, which I originally thought I was going to use them in India, which they very well may end up there. But I'm hoping also that some of my panzer forces we're gonna move to here, that then stage them over to Bulgaria for a western part of the invasion of Turkey. Like I said, I've never invaded Turkey before, just hadn't done it. Hopefully we'll get organized and we'll be able to do the invasion, or the airborne drop. Okay, you retreat out. I don't really want you collapsing. Okay, division HQs have advanced. That's good. And basically the last one for a while. I'm going to wait till well into 43 probably before I start pushing even the 44s. But delay between attacks reduced again. Radio strength, it's a percent less than 1, so it just shows up as 0. Tactical withdrawal tactic is plus 9%. Breakthrough is 9% better. And grand battle doctrine overall. It's good. And airborne warfare research has advanced. Basically figuring out how to fall out of the sky. Oh, it's this one. Where? Here. Okay, 43. Yeah, we'll stop that. We won't push hard on that one. Elite commando units, toughness, morale. Air brigade, strategic bombing efficiency, logistical bombing efficiency. What's under artillery? Yeah, I think we're going to do this. I think I'm going to take the 15% manpower hit. We're no longer looking at the big, huge drain of fighting the Soviet Union, and the mining obviously will be an ongoing, but we like the extra resources from that. Jungle unit command and control advance. Good. And we'll let that continue. Did we get did we get that? Yeah, okay. Maybe another tech. Just looking to see that everything is sort of 42 and better being researched, but that's not the case here. So let's get light bombers be improved. Concentrate on production of track prime movers. During 1941, the Wehrmacht discovered that their wheeled transport vehicles were unsuitable for the muddy Rasputitsa, sorry I'm butchering that I'm sure, conditions that marked the beginning and end of the Russian winter. Only half tracks were able to operate in these conditions, but removing them from their operational purposes for supply duties would have been unworkable. Instead, Germany began to build half-tracked versions of their Opel, Daimler Bitz, and Ford's trucks by removing the rear axles and placing new drive shafts connected to Panzer I track assemblies with Cardan Lloyd type suspension assemblies. Yeah, they're a little bit, I think, well, a little bit more Cardan Lloyd track type things, which are simple stuff there. That is more like a Panzer I. That looks like a, I don't know, Bose Nag or whatever truck style of muleter is sort of what they were called. And that's the sort of heavier type track assemblies. That they also had a lighter weight, which is sort of the Cardan Lloyd, which you see on like the Brengen carriers. Very simple sort of cheap track type things. Type suspension assemblies. The Panzer I was out of production at this point. Existing track parts could be used for Cost-effective conversion of trucks. Cardin-Lloyd suspensions was similar to that used by Universal Bren carriers. Most conversions were Opel trucks. Yeah, the way they said it, assemblies with, but he said one and, should have been and, but whatever, or something like that. Conversions were Opel trucks, which proved successful in service, although they lacked the overall mobility purpose-built half-tracks. Yeah, they weren't ground clearance, going over rugged terrain that either the the MOAG, the 250s, which were the big ones, and the 251s, which were the smaller armored half-tracks, or the sort of prime mover half-tracks, the purpose-built, the ones sort of the larger ones you famously being seen towing the flak 18s, the 88 millimeter flak guns, those, and then they had smaller versions. Those were all really good cross-country mobility. These guys, basically, they just had mostly the similar mobility for trucks in going over terrain features, how rough the ground is. But like they're saying, for mud and snow and sand, because it's also they'd be very useful. I don't know that many of them were sent, but it would be very useful out in the western desert where you had the trucks with the the sand rails, the metal sheets that they'd put down and drive over, and then pick up from behind them and keep doing that as they needed to get it unstuck from a particularly bad bit of sand. These tracks would have just been able to continue on through that kind of terrain, so that they were very useful in that sense, but they weren't a complete replacement. They also had the RSO, which Russia something or other stands for, that came in two types. One was a fully tracked truck instead of a half track, but it's just sort of a truck, and they were actually fairly slow, but good for that, and they were also fairly good at cross-country stuff. And also another RSO type which had mega wheels, front and rear, just one set, but they were like 6 feet tall, big huge round wheels that they built the RSOs. Those were a little bit more limited. So okay, metal, we got plenty of metal. Supplies, well, currently we have plenty of supplies, so we can afford that. So we'll do that, and that gives us some sort of order of battle. Okay. Oh, good. So we've now got 5 half-track units that we can attach somewhere, which obviously not to those guys, but which we may send forward, and well, like maybe there, maybe those will go to get converted to being probably not those guys, but yeah, I'll go back to that. But them or some other armor, well, they have it, but we'll see what sort of tank outfits or others that we'll decide to upgrade. So we'll send them there, but we'll likely combine them somewhere using ships. Okay, we've won here. We're good. We don't need to go occupy that province anymore. We keep flying supplies. Looks like they're gonna get that because I haven't battled really with my upgraded versions other than just basically to test it out. One time that I said that the Brits got down here or in control, sending reinforcements. So, okay, Rommel, will you move at least closer? We may move you to the front at some point, but maybe not. Um, okay, these are quick enough. Just which will move which forces faster. Well, let's do this. We very well. See, I'm hoping that this is sort of some of the hopes. I don't like the way that, specifically here in Casablanca, that this was turned over to the Americans while we still occupied it. Sort of worried that's what's going to happen to my Atlantic wall and have to attack my own Atlantic wall while sitting on top of it. But by giving them the territory, even if you didn't give them the territory, but just ceded the territory, but it's occupied, I'm hopeful that by having the Americans see that this is America that's being occupied here instead of Vichy France being occupied, it'll make the AI want to go after it more. That's at least my hope. You know, and it's a little AI logic. Go, oh, American territory held, so let's send American troops, not just British or somebody else. Because each country has its own AI working. Okay, carrier prototypes, or carrier aircraft prototypes have advanced. That is good, and we're probably going to let that continue, yeah. Kept getting destroyed. And single engine aircraft armament has advanced as well. No armament here. Okay, good. So that's grayed out. But so... well, we're doing fairly good. Yeah. Wehrmacht Health Herren. The steady and threatening increase in the Allied bombing war against the Reich required to tap into additional human resources to bolster the Reichsluft sorry, Germans. I wish maybe because put lines or something. Oh, I got it. What you could do is you could like space out Reich and Luft and a few of these other things, so I know how to break up and pronounce these words. Sort of like in American, English, German aerial defenses. You see that you space out instead of lowercasing it and running it all together. So is it Germana Reala de Defenses? You see, you could, how to chop all that up is what really causes me more problems than anything else. Yes, I know I'm complaining about your language, and it's your language, and you have the right to do anything you want with your language, but I still have the right to complain about it. Hope you take all that well. Though drafting and foremost voluntary recruitment of females as the Luftwaffen Health Herren Air Force Auxiliary valuable men could be used as Wehrmacht replacements for the heavy losses during the campaign in the East. In particular, this went necessarily after the valuable ground personnel of the Luftwaffe was used to form Luftwaffe field divisions. Although the war, more than throughout the war, I should be able to read my own language too. The war, more than 500,000 women served in various branches of the Wehrmacht. Most of these were serving on a voluntary basis, while others were drafted into auxiliary duties. Many of the Luftwaffe and the Reich Luft, whatever, Reich Air Defense. In 1944-45, more than 500,000 women were volunteered uniform auxiliaries in the Wehrmacht. Wehrmacht, again, just, I grew up always thinking that meant the German army. It's the Heer. Wehrmacht is just armed forces, which includes the Navy and the Army. About the same number of served in the civil defense. 400,000 volunteered as nurses. Many more replaced drafted men in the wartime economy. In the Luftwaffe, they served in combat roles, helping to operate anti-aircraft systems that shot down Allied bombers. By 1945, German women were holding 85% of the billets as clericals, accountants, interpreters, laboratory workers, administrative workers, together with half of the clerical and junior administration posts in high levels of field headquarters. Yeah. Now, I say a lot of them were volunteers, and that's absolutely true. But basically, and yes, it changes at different stages through the war, unmarried women of a youthful age, and again, I don't have the exact ages in front of me, were basically required to do something. And I say that meaning if they went to go to work in a, wartime factory of some sort, could be making boots for soldiers, or making, the leather cartridge pouches, just working with leather, or, working in clothing factories, making uniforms, or making all the cool patches that the Nazis like to wear, whatever the useful wartime, or of course building the sort of the famous Rosie the Riveter, building aircraft, or working in tank factories or heavy industry. There definitely was some working in heavy industry, but very, very few working in what would be classical heavy industry. Now, the clerical people in a heavy industry factory, absolutely. And some of the other, and then I'm sure that there's, wiring in a Panther tank or something. That's more of what they would be doing as opposed to the heavy labor within that sort of industry element. But there was a lot of non-heavy industry type elements that were already traditionally female employed to one degree or another. So there was all those kinds of opportunities to go do that kind of stuff. And basically, if you didn't do that and you were unmarried, you were drafted. And so you could volunteer in a lot, like they say did, 500,000. Now, the civil defense, I don't know if that, depending on your job, whether that would keep you out of being drafted by some other service, but that civil defense workers would also be factory workers. Bombing raids come, you get called up to your civil defense jobs. Once that's done, you're back to working in your factories, nursing, whatever. So those were huge numbers there. And so sort of got to the sense that if you had a protected job, you had something out like that, fine, they weren't going to draft you because that's useful. But if you weren't going to do that, it was good chances you were going to be drafted. But that's similar in Britain. I just want to state, unlike America, Britain basically required all of their women of a youthful age to that weren't married. Now, see, I'm not saying if they had children or not. I'm saying marriage. That's the key thing. The National Socialist state promoted that all these women get pregnant, married or unmarried. They really pushed hard to remove any sort of stigma of unmarried pregnancies, and this is even before the war. And this wasn't even the sort of idea that in America. And I think also in Britain it was, the war's on, sleep with the guy, you don't know if he's going to come back or whatever. And even if he sort of come back, and even if that, you can just sort of cover it, the father died in the war, we won't mention who he was, or whatever, just sort of cover it up that way so it doesn't seem like there's any sort of shamefulness that you had kids. It wasn't even like that. It was just simply the Germans, if you were the right type of person, they were trying to get more population. So they were promoting up, and you can see some of the, they made some movies that sort of salacious, sort of these Lebensborn camps, but really weren't quite that much. But those were mostly for unwed mothers to be able to support going through the pregnancies, because sometimes the families would be kicking the women out. Other times the families themselves, their parents or whatever, were caught up in everything going on and weren't available to take care of a pregnant woman or newborn children, so that they were very much creating an infrastructure to handle all of these newborn children as as well as unwed mothers who didn't. But the whole idea is that even if they most weren't in those camps or going through that system, is that other married women would take care of their friends or relatives, unwed mothers' children in their home, or whatever, when they're very young as well. So there very much was that sort of thing, but I'm sure you weren't going to be forced to man an anti-aircraft gun while you're, 7 months pregnant. But once that's sort of done, they would expect you back to your job. So they were very much promoting those kind of things going off there. And you can look at some of the letters written by the BDM women going to the camps. They're not camps, and can have a very bad connotation in World War II Nazi Germany. I'm just talking Hitler Youth camps for girls. I mean, just like the Hitler Youth camps for boys, there was Hitler Youth camps for girls, and nothing more. I mean, they were indoctrinating them into National Socialism, but nothing more nefarious in these kind of camps. These were summer camps that trying to teach you to be good little Nazis, of course. But you can talk about how getting pregnant for Hitler was a thing, and that the staff and everybody else was promoting up of just these, 17, 18, 19-year-old girls get pregnant now, whether it's with a soldier or a Hitler Youth boy of approximately the same age. It was very much, and these young girls who had gone through this system were very much rejecting their parents' sort of social conventions. So this was all going on, but it's sort of the married, unmarried was still a thing for whether you got drafted or not. In Britain, like I was, I think, going down, unmarried women there were required to do something or they were going to be drafted. Yes, we will take 50 manpower. That is useful. In the U.S., there was none of that. There was obviously the Rosie the Riveter thing, which was encouraging. I think that's, that province box. So we got a one province bottleneck. I'm going to leave you out of it, because we're going to get ready to send you over to India. Now, hopefully you have supplies. Yeah, currently. But it doesn't look too promising here. Patton is doing okay. Aero engine research has advanced. I think that's grayed out. Let's go for medium bomber type improvements. Yeah, look at all that air power there. Pretty decent air power that shifted out from there. So this this air power for sure was not part of the OOB loading. They still haven't even done the air bases here for America. Mentioning that, look at Fighter Command. I put a bunch of units sort of on. It's temporary. Refit. Rest and refit. Be ready here. Really want you just to battle out over continental Europe and not follow them back over Britain, where they'll have Radar plus other advantages. So go back and sort of operational range there. Oh, these guys, yes. Cover down south here over India. These guys, big squadron. The reason I'm looking at here is big area of coverage. If they spot any aircraft, I want them up and after them. Okay, these we're getting ready for going after Turkey. I've sent some aircraft, maybe should have sent more as well there for dealing with Turkey. Okay, these guys, oh, these guys are being messed up by a lot of air, so we'll give you a bit of a break. And how are we doing down here? Well, it looks like they got supplies again. Those guys are surviving. Stuff now. And if I get some good naval invasion forces, I want to go there and deal with that some more. Okay, good. How are you doing? Oh, you're getting battered. Now, I want to make sure, because I know I have some. Let's just move all these. Well, these are all look like they're being built, but yeah, that's fine, because I'm building some air bases down here. Yeah, let's, because they're getting bombed. Let's move one of my units that I sort of have here as night fighters. Yes, because they'll have greater range. So I don't think I'm building an airbase down here, but I don't have it built yet. So let's get down here so they can do some coverage down here in Africa. Because this is working just fine. Okay. No, that's good. Now it's a little deficity, but we've got currently plenty. Still want to keep building. Well, it looks like Patton's going to win this here. Maybe Patton's headquarters already collapsed. Oh well. No, it's still here. Okay. Deploy the 14th Luftwaffen Field Division. The 14th Luftwaffen Field Division was formed in 1942 from the Flieger Regiment 61 and sent to Norway as an occupational and coastal defense force. In 1943, it was transferred to the Heer. On 1st of November 1943, redesignated the 14th Field Division L. The division surrendered in Norway in May 1945. Manpower, yeah, but we're getting a division out of it. Okay. Cool. Those aren't great, but they're okay. Okay, single engine airframe research has advanced. Okay, and folding wings for those. Escorts here. There we go. Shift it to naval. Deploy the Hermann Goering Division to Tunis. I added that again, and I talked to Revolver Held, and he's going to be doing this, particularly for the, because I totally get the idea that you sort of paid for this, so you're doing the program, but I don't like the enforced movement. Now, basically, all this does is remove those brigades, cost you a little bit of supplies and money, and replaces them down in Tunisia. But I don't want to send the division down there. I don't think I need it. But it was also my sort of thought is, what if we were still fighting in the Eastern Front and the Hermann Goering Division was out in the Eastern Front? You know, maybe the AI should be forced to do it just because maybe we know better than the AI, but I'm going to say no need. Because I sort of kind of think... Now let's move you guys a little bit further forward. Well, so far I don't think any of my parachute units, because they have not gotten enough organization yet. Although they're just coming back from dropping. Okay, good. So we've got a student here, so didn't want to lose him in that fight, but he can support that fight. See how much that changes by getting students division in there? Yes. Now let's, because we're overstressing that airport, let's maybe up here, maybe we'll fly up more supplies or not, I don't know, but Bulgaria, yes, you may have as much energy as you like. Any of my allies, just about any neutral, can have as much energy as you want. I'll say yes to just about any request. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Slightly sorry units, but I'm not keeping up on top of it as well. We'll just send you overland, just so you're within command range. I know this is just to here, but still, it's. So here's just Rommel coming from there so far. And there goes small fuel tank. Okay, so this will now, that gets grayed out, but we get single engine fighter. We're pushing ahead on that. We want to be technologically advanced. Okay, and again, I just added the no need here, but Italian forces, it looks like Italy's just going to lose some supply, manpower and money, which otherwise is not doing a whole lot right now. So yeah, we'll take some Italian units for our Tunisian campaign, which is over here. Oh, here they are. Don't know why they get sent over there. Don't know why. There may be some good reasons. Is that why it's there, than not just in the capital where... Oh, stop that. Okay, yeah, no, just those two units. Got this up here. Okay, let's get a Luftwaffe officer. Not great ground units. Think these regiments with 2,000 men were meant when they were still doing multi-battalion standard units. Yeah. No, that's those are Luftwaffe patches, so we're putting them in charge of that. And there's already a fortress garrison detachment there. I don't know how much we're going to keep him there. Okay, well, we are sort of in the positive need. Let's increase our supplies because we are... I'm sure it's not really that bad. It just... Supplies out, supplies in, supplies back and forth, paying the taxes, whatnot. Now we still have well, no, we have a bit of a deficit now. Not by much, but as you can see, I'm significantly increasing. Let's do some more escorts just because we are doing more and more. And I also wanted to see, so a little bit of air battles, not much. And if I've exhausted their bombers, because there's 3 heavy bombers there, one of them is about half strength, to where, and again 3 heavy bombers, one is about half strength there, to where they're not wanting to operate over Germany. I totally understand it, and that's good. Power supplies, and that's also another bit of worry I have, is supply levels in those regions. Okay, airlift German forces to Tunis. When the Allied troops landed in Algeria, there were no Axis troops in Vichy, North Africa. As an immediate reaction, a mainly German force began securing strategic points in and around Tunis and Beritza. Sorry. This force was mainly made up of readily available units which were flown in by air with only light equipment or transported by sea. As early as the 10th of November, German formations started to arrive in Tunisia. Amongst them were 2 Fallschirmjäger regiments, which I think we already have, various replacement and march battalions, units which were earmarked to be transferred to the Deutsches Afrika Korps, and other smaller advanced formations. Later, those were merged with divisions of the Heeresgruppe Afrika. Okay, again, I added the no need, but, you know, again, they're sort of free forces. So we get these sort of, well, while we're here, see who we want to put in command of this. Let's put him in command. And by doing that, well, maybe we should have done it the other way around, but oh well. Now at least those 2 units are not disrupted, and they're now motorized with German truck transport, reconnaissance, so they're starting to look a little bit more not terribly fast. Partially that's because of the weather there and river crossing. And we have that. I haven't used these guys yet. Now, earlier in my last episode, All Talking, No Playing, I know a few of you like it and a few of you really upset, and some are sort of neutral on that, but I sort of started out talking about, could Rommel have won in North Africa? And we're talking well before Operation Torch, you know, sometime by the end of 41 or very early 42 in North Africa, if they had sort of sent enough equipment or whatever. Well, you can see here that although, as they're saying, some of the stuff is like, hey, you know, these are units you know, that were going to be going to maybe North Africa anyways, that were rushed there. You see other divisions, you know, like earlier we declined, but the Hermann Goering division, which I thought, I didn't think it was in North Africa, but maybe it was. I thought it was just sent to Sicily, but I'm not sure on that. If somebody wants to look that up, they can, and post the link below. But other divisions that were rushed, and they created a whole new sort of Panzer Army Africa here after, in reaction to the Allies. But had they just done that 6 months before, 9 months before, had they done that in, the January 42 to fight here, it would have been a whole different show. See, that's the thing is the emergency is, oh shit, we've got to send real forces instead of sending them to the Eastern Front. We've got to send them. There's still nothing hardly showed up here yet. I know we're talking a lot, but stuff is coming. We're sending stuff east, and that endless, always can use another division, always could use more supplies, more whatever. Yeah, but when you get the emergency here, you can find them. Well, you should have found them before it was an emergency. Okay, we won the battle there. Let's go. I think that's down in Africa. Yeah, these guys. So now these guys are now attacking here. But now that we have these Africa Corps, we have multiple Africa Corps. Some up in the desert, some down in the jungle. Well, this isn't jungle really. Not quite pine trees, but that's not really jungle. Jungle does come in Mozambique and some places, but down here it's not what we think of as jungle. Okay, these guys are here. Good, so they need to attack here. Basically coming across these rivers is incredibly difficult, but if I can get Brazzaville and then support the attack, they'll get across the rivers into the Free French colony down here. We've got Bauer's unit down here. He's going to support that attack. Oh, I don't know. We may have. No, I think we can. Yeah. For some reason, Patton's unit is already out of that, I guess. Or something. The task force, I don't know. He's commanding that. Okay. They're going to go there and then swing against this force here. Now you can see that since before the Russian campaign started, I have been steadily moving as fast as I can south and east. Now we have crossed the continent, but only because Belgium capitulated once we took its capital. I was able to SR movement some of those units. Is just how ridiculously long it takes to march across this territory. A little bit quicker to strategically redeploy. We have these guys coming with these guys coming with the HQ. Okay, African Army recruitment has advanced. Well, good. Now it's showing me that we are way too ahead on that. Oh, no, not on that. On, okay. What are we? Single engine fighter, tank radio communication. Yeah, that is too far ahead. Sonar for submarines. Yeah, let's do that. It does give them more visibility, but let's do that. But we're going to keep African Army recruitment going since it's just 1940. But it does set so that we can recruit African units. To the front. It's either a militia unit or a colonial light infantry unit. Or good colonial light infantry. That's better of the two qualities. We still have to get up, and let's just get not a guy with cold weather stats. Not a Luftwaffe guy. Again, not a Luftwaffe guy. I'm looking for somebody without too many skill. This guy. So we're not wasting a good commander on him. What is this area unit? Oh, these guys. Okay, well, now what I should need to do now that they've been down here a little while. Put you out here as air interception. Least possible range. Intercept anybody who's can. Yep, you're gonna attack, but you're gonna lose. Okay, we've won. We've defended ourselves successfully here. Looks like we may actually win Casablanca. Okay, now we are in the... Okay, we've got one air base coming, got another one being built. That is good. And that's good there. Some radar being built there too. Well, I sort of kind of feel that I got enough panzer divisions, and we're having still, lowish manpower situation. So I think what we're going to see about doing is, well, a pocket battleship or two would be sort of nice and not cost too much. And even a light carrier. Let's see about doing one light carrier there. Because we're looking ahead. Because that's one thing I've sort of have to do, in a couple of heavy cruisers. Those will be sort of nice. Oh, just two of them. We're not overspending, but we are sort of doing a bit of a naval building program here. Okay, yeah, just add that in there. Yeah, because that has a long lead build time. Okay. There we go. And of course we're letting the Gortz von Berlichen finally really get continued production, which will be a sort of a big battleship as well. No, we'll keep winning this one battle. And they're under attack again. I think that is either screwy AI or just trying to keep me from doing that. Okay, and well, now let's do that. These guys are a bit weaker, but faster, I think, or maybe not. I don't know, but. Okay, they have decided U.S. military bases. The U.S. military has begun setting up major Army, air, and naval bases and staging posts in allied nations throughout the world. Once these are operational, the full might of the U.S. military will be very apparent. Well, that's what I talked about, is that it often hasn't been apparent, but At least it will give the U.S. bases here, and they will see that it's close enough to maybe bomb and send in air power to deal with that. And there, I think, will be the Japanese. At least the Japanese have got. I think this was an event or somebody stupid. Yeah, maybe Japan invaded with a bunch of garrison forces that can't move. I don't know. But so long as they have a base there, that's probably what they probably had some of these guys via event, and then had a base, so they sent down that. And they're slowly coming in here. Good. I just don't really have good enough forces to move these guys as any sort of invasion. I want to take that so it opens this up, which will help trade and resources of everybody. Okay, Italy send additional units to Tunisia. The Italian 1st Infantry Division Superga was raised in 1940 and took part in the campaign against France. It was reorganized for the planned invasion of Malta, but was instead sent to Tunisia in November 42. It was destroyed in May 43, fighting against the British forces. Okay, yes. Yes, we will take that. Oh, is it over here too? Okay. So nice little conf group A there. And a light, okay, so that's light infantry division. That looks pretty good. Based on Italian text. So, may not be great. Second Army Division is attacking here now, okay, which hardly has any organization. I would think you'd want to get organized again, but whatever. Oh, there's somebody here. Who's here? Oh, that would be... Oh, those are bombers. They're bombing here. Okay. Well, they're attacking my full force with a division. Doesn't look like it's going to go very well for them. I hope for their sake they are... Yes, we know to keep attacking. Wish I could turn that one off. Yes, this is really super annoying. Oh, so they're attacking from down here now too. Okay, so we defended their encashment. Oh, these guys are here down fighting. Well, let's start off by supporting that attack. So for this nuisance thing, delays between attacks. I wonder how they're getting. I guess they may have gone to 0 delay. Gotten enough HQ techs or something. Oh, we've won Casablanca. Well, good. Well, we need to clean up that. Student and Valor to support that attack. And what do they want? We give them. Yes, you may have energy. Okay, let's see. Combined arms coordination has advanced. That is nice. That is which here. Combined arms coordination. Okay. On front coordination, supply throughput. Let's just go with that. That's pretty uncontroversial. Okay, deploy the 10th Panzer Division to Tunis after completing its mission in Fall Anton. In November 42, the German High Command decided to send the 10th Panzer Division to defend the bridgehead in Tunisia against the well-equipped Allied forces. During 14th through 18th November, the whole division was relocated to Tunisia. The division fought throughout the remainder of the African campaign and surrendered with the last Axis forces in misspelled May 1943. The divisional tradition and its remaining cadre were used to form the 10th Panzer Grenadier Division, basically. Okay, so we could do that or not. And this is why I put wanted the no need and put that there, because we don't need to send it. But again, this was one of the units that was sort of garrisoning France that they could have sent before to the fight here. Right now, one of the reasons I'm not sending huge numbers of forces is just because supply problems. I'm not supplying these forces here, going through Vichy. So I can't, I hope Vichy is sending supplies appropriately, but I don't know for sure, because I don't even know how much supply transport they have. And I'll get too much more, we're going to overdo their supply capabilities. Okay, well, I want to end the episode here, so thank you very much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos, of course, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And of course, I love hearing from you, so please post questions, suggestions, ideas, comments, corrections, whatever. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.